Good morning, everybody. Orange J here with another War of the Visions video, and today we're going to talk about the tetrasylphid raid that we've got this week. We're farming out some UR pieces of gear, those big ticket items, and I've gotten a lot of messages on Discord or comments in YouTube videos about just kind of how to do raiding in War of the Visions. We don't get these solo raids very much, so I'm going to give you some just kind of generic tips on doing raids in this game for all you newer folks out there, or people who are maybe trying to do this hardcore for the first time, get that new gear, and then I'm going to talk about this boss specifically and some tips on how to win on this map against this boss. So first of all, let's talk about spawning the raid. I have a couple big time tips for spawning this raid boss. The first tip is it takes 20 energy to spawn a boss. Exactly 20 will guarantee you a spawn. Yes, you can get lucky and spawn it for less than that, but I highly recommend just take as much RNG out of the equation as you can and spawn the boss as easily as possible. I think you were definitely meant to be farming trust stone rooms this week. Note how those are 3 times drop. That's going to give you a lot of bang for your buck if you're doing the skip ticket or auto farming route. So you come in here, it'll take 2 tickets to get 24 energy costs right here, but every time you do that, you are guaranteed to spawn the boss. Now, if you don't have event skip tickets and you want to use regular skip tickets, you can do a 1 skip ticket boss spawn by going into I don't want to go here. Let's go to story quests. Go into story quests, go to world quests, and the character quests in like Southern Lions Valley, for example. These character quests, not the shard quests, the character quests cost 25 energy. So what I do sometimes before trust stones were a thing, is I'd come in here, I could skip this only 1 time, and every skip ticket I use then will spawn a raid boss. So if you're somebody who's not sitting on a pile of skip tickets, this could be a good option for you. So I would recommend either the trust stone rooms for not only trust stones, but the other great loot in there, or maybe something easy like this with your regular skip tickets. Also, make sure you have a farming party. I know this seems for a lot of people like probably a really obvious tip, but this is a chance to get a lot of resonance built with espers for units. It's a chance to get a lot of experience for units. Like I have 3 units in here right now collecting EXP. That's a bang for my buck. When I leave it on auto farming, I have my McLeod set up right here to only be casting Saint Circlet, so I can work in units that don't have my 95 bravery yet, have him buff them with that, and I can raise bravery. Just find good ways to take advantage of a bunch of otherwise sort of random farming in order to spawn bosses. So those are my tips right there on how to spawn the boss. Now, once you have spawned the boss, what I want to talk about is this boss in general. Now, let's head on over to the WoTV calc page for a second. Here is the stats for this boss. It doesn't list defense and spirit. This boss does have defense and spirit. So if you're adding like defense penetration to your build, that is fine. You cannot debuff the agility, defense, spirit, or HP of this boss. So you're not going to be able to knock the defense down, but you can penetrate it a little bit if that's something you want to do. It's like 50-ish of both. I think it's 50 of one and 40 of the other. I'm not 100% sure on that. But let's look at how you kill this thing. First of all, there's no way to cheese it with status effects. Yes, you can immobilize it, but unless you have some crazy range team that can chain immobilize without running out of AP, I don't know how that's really going to help you too much. You can charm it, but that's not going to kill the boss, and you can inflict frostbite on it. Now, at first I thought frostbite might be the way, because I was like, oh, you drain it out of AP and probably anything could beat this. No, it has a bajillion AP, so you actually can. It has 390. You cannot drain that with frostbite in time. That doesn't work. I tried it. Yeah, GG, nice try. But it is weak to missile and weak to ice. So when you're team building, I would suggest ice missile if you can, or just a missile team or just an ice team. I think those are your best options. It's very strong against the other physical damage types. It's neutral to magic and probably stay off of earth. Okay, let's switch back into the game for a second. I want to show you my team that I'm using. I'm doing the 2-man clear and I'm using ice missile. What I want to point out, my biggest tip once I load into this fight, let's go ahead and load one in. And it's more exciting to watch the fight. I'll talk about it while it's running, and then hopefully the game does not crash. We'll turn ability effects on because that looks cooler. Okay, here we go. Definitely turn ability effects off for speed farming. But first thing I want to point out, you want your units. The most important thing, your units need AP Restore. So I'm using Lucio's TMR right here, and I'm using Jesus Bells. Everybody has access to both of these things if you've played for a while, either through like the Mog Shop by leveling up Jesus, or Lucio is like the free-to-play ultimate player. But I turned every other TP move for these units off, and I made it so their range was not long enough that they could hit the boss on the first turn. By doing that, both of these ladies will pop their AP Restore, and then they're not going to run out of AP. They're going to have no problem beating this boss down. Notice that I did land the Frostbite on Tetrasylphid, but watch what I'm talking about. She has 351 AP after the first tick of her Frostbite. Like, who cares? Now, the limit break right here, Guns of the Dragon Princess will land Immobilize on it, so that's cool. It also debuffs the ice resistance, I think. I know Eliza's does too, but the boss is going to stand right there. Still, it has big ranged AoE moves. It could still hit my girls from right there. So what I'm more concerned about is, can I kill it before it A, kills me, or before B, I run out of turns? There have been raids in the past where units like Yuna could take care of all of that for you. She could do enough damage with Holy and keep herself alive so she could beat the boss by herself. I think you're better off here going for a 2 or 4 man squad where you get their agilities aligned where they can chain off of each other. Notice how these girls are both using their triple shot missile attacks and building up massive chains, and will end up clearing the boss with like a ton of turns left, no problem. Like, that was like 20,000 damage from Eliza right there. And then all the boss is doing is standing there dropping some elemental magic on us. We're strong against that element. The boss can't kill us, and there we go. I'll look a little bit closer at the gear I'm using here in a minute. We're going to go ahead and use another limit break right here. I knew it would look cooler if we put ability effects on. That's another ice resistance debuff. 37,000 HP left on the boss. We're just going to chain it down. There's another try shot into, oh, we're running out of AP. Only 15 left. Maddening Arrow, 12,099. Boss is at 11k HP. He does an AoE attack. And you can see how this is a pretty tough fight. We won that with 6 turns left, but had we not used AP Restore, we would have been in trouble. So I think the AP Restore is the most important thing. Then, obviously, you want to use Espers that are good for the fight. I'll show you an example of an Esper that I think is really good for the fight in Fenrir. And Fenrir is good not just for, like, ice units, but if you were doing a slash chain, like a 4-person slash chain, Fenrir has really good slash attack on it as well, and has Esper Killer, which will help you take down Tetrasylphid. So let's take a peek at that. Fenrir really good. Let me show you why. Look for Espers. Loading times are going to kill me right here. Look for Espers with things like Wind Eater. Wind Eater is going to be real good here. Esper Killer, attack up, generically really good. And then if it was a slasher, I could go into slash attack as well. Instead, I went to accuracy, critical hit rate. So Esper Killer, elemental attack up, your attack type up. Use your best Espers, right? I think if you're going for a 2 or a 4-man team, you don't have to be too specific, but also look for these good PvE items like a Thornlet right here. Gives me some of that defense piercing rate. The agility down, I thought that would be really cool. Turns out you cannot debuff the agility on this boss, so that kind of blew up in my face, but defense piercing is still nice. The Sortilege +6, very easy to build this, and when you crit, you get an attack magic buff for your unit, so that's a cool thing to do as well. Stacking my attack, most important thing, get that AP Restore going, use your best vision cards. There you go. That's my 2-man squad. I'd be curious to put in the comment section what 2-man squads you're using to clear this, to give some people an idea. Maybe if they don't have ice units or missile units, have you found other things? I know Joom and 100 cost win Glassy are killing this thing. That's a cool comp to show off. Anything you want to, guys. So, one last bit I want to mention that a lot of people get confused on. The reason I was fighting it with 2 players is because here's how rewards work in these raids. If you fight solo play, where you can use 4 units, you get the smallest amount of medals for beating that. It's still a lot, and I think in my mind, it's still worth doing this by yourself just for the convenience of being able to kill it by yourself. If you go to the multiplayer options, the being able to use 2 of your own units is like the medium return for rewards, and then being able to solo it with just 1 of your units or grouping with 4 other players is the biggest return on rewards. This I don't know. It takes a lot of work to get one unit to be able to kill this by himself. I'm cool with just doing my 2-player units right here and just milking it up like that. So those are my tips on how to beat this boss. If you have any questions, drop those in the comments section. And thank you guys for watching. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Happy farming. 64 recipes. Whoa. My goodness, that was a tough burp. 64 recipes is how many you need for a +6. I would recommend getting at least that for the gear, for any of the gear you're farming right here, and have fun. Have a great day, everybody. I'll catch you next time. Peace.